So I would love to introduce Ayla, Rose, and Jonathan David. They are our love gurus, and they're going to be talking about tantric transformation today. And I know a lot of our relationships are being affected during this pandemic, and it's really important to recognize each other as individuals. And they're going to teach us about the bridging philosophy, which is going to connect and communicate. We're going to use this philosophy to connect with our partners and communicate and bring in some of this erotic energy and tantric practices, which seems to be the theme of today for sure in so many different ways. And just to give a little bit of more background, they really help people empower themselves to love themselves and create conscious relationships and joyful lives. And they help their own clients uncover emotional blocks and traumas in the body. And they've developed this unique healing method called bridging, which is bridging the Eastern and the Western philosophies together. So with that, the Love Gurus, I'd love to welcome you to CAREona Fest.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear us? Good.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, because this festival is absolutely amazing. And we've been tuning in and getting so much from the different people. And it's so wild to see everyone all around the world tuning in and saying hi and participating. And so we wanted to take just like 5 minutes, if you guys can just over in the chat, say where you're from, who you are. We just want to say hi to people and welcome people to the journey. We're going to do something a little bit different. We decided that it would be really good to tune into what has been happening. Oh, thank you guys. Atlanta, New York, Venice Beach. All right down the road. We're in LA, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. But we wanted to take you guys through the experience of what is happening to you right now through this whole pandemic. What's happening to your body, what's happening to your emotions, and how can you deal with that as an individual first, and then bring that into your relationships, and then bring that further out into your life. So this is actually a really special time where we can go inward and actually be healed from this transformation. Hi, Kiersey, Louisiana,
Hi.
Florida, Phoenix. She's from Miami. I grew up in Nashville. Houston, I was born in Houston. Minnesota, hey guys, it was amazing.
Oakland,
right up the way, Central California, thank you. Good to spend time with you guys too.
Israel, wow.
Yeah.
Welcome.
International.
Yay.
So, and we have so much to present. You guys can't see this, but in front of us, we have this giant poster board, and it is just packed full of things.
So we're going to go fast a little bit here, because we really want you guys to learn the most important thing, how to tune into your body, because your body has everything that you need to know about what's going on within you. You just have to learn how to read it, how to tune into yourself, and how to receive these messages, because the whole world right now is kind of forcing us to go inside, to tune into our feminine, and to really feel and listen to ourselves. And when you do that, you're going to have such a clear answer on what way to go, what path to go to, and how to trust in yourself.
And no one can tell you what that path is. Like even in our sessions, we don't tell people what to do. We show people how to use their own bodies to tell them what to do. And so, you know, we all have this capability. We're all built the same way. It's just learning how to use our bodies. And some of you are probably like, what does this have to do with Tantra? And I'll explain that very quickly. Tantra, a lot of people think that's about sexuality and your sexual practice and stuff, but that's actually a very small percentage of what Tantra is. Tantra is all about connection. It literally means the weaving of things together. And so where we decided to take this tantric presentation was to get you in tune with your life, to get you in tune with your senses, with your emotions. And that's called living a tantric life. And sure, sex is a part of that, and it's an amazing transformational part of that. But it's also really important how we're eating our food, how we're spending our time, how we're meditating, how we're finding stillness. all of those things, they build the energy for a tantric life. And
Yeah.
so that's why we call this a tantric transformation, because we really want to tune you back into your body.
Yeah. So you can connect to the moment, so you can connect to yourself, because everything is happening right now. When you're in your head, you are stuck in the past or you're stuck in the future, and that's not where you can create from. So you have to be really present and tuned into yourself, so you can actually create from this moment and feel life and live life and tune into like what is actually an orgasmic state of living, because all of that sensation in your body is going to take you to the next level, and it's going to help you live an embodied life.
All right, so we have so much to do. Just if we could get your full focus, we're going to move pretty quickly, and we're going to open it up for Q&As at the end. We're going to try to do 10 minutes of Q&A, and so we really want to get through the material so we can hear what you guys, how it's impacted you, or what questions you have about it. So first off, we're going to talk about our experience, because we are not exempt from the coronavirus craziness, and we really went through it. And for us, we experienced it like 2 weeks before they had even announced the coronavirus. We were going crazy. We felt rushed, pressured. We were bickering with each other, and it was a very new energy, unlike anything we'd ever felt before. And I just have this visual, like if you've ever stepped into a river and the water's just going so fast, if you're not careful and you don't have sure footing, it'll just sweep you out from under it. And I felt like that's what the energy of coronavirus, that's what this whole pandemic did. It was such a heavy energy that even when it was going on in a different part of the world, it was still affecting us, because space and time, they don't really matter in the physical realm how we think they do. Like, we can connect in across the world. So when all this madness was happening, we were all being affected by it, and we're very sensitive people. We're very tuned into our bodies, and so it took us completely by surprise. And it took us about, I'd say, 2 weeks to really like find our way again, to figure out, okay, what's happening.
Yeah, we were fighting. In fact, we were fighting in a way that we hadn't fought before, because we didn't understand. Like, we were bickering about things that didn't even matter, and things that really we needed to face within ourselves. So we started fixing all these patterns before coronavirus hit. And when it hit, we're like, oh, we get it. So now we can help people move through this process easier, because everyone's going to be hit with it, especially if you're living with a partner, because your partner is going to be reflecting all of those things within you that need to be healed, that you need to see within yourself. So yeah, your patterns are like disrupted. Your survival instincts are like all like full-fledged,
Right now.
perked up. You're
Ready,
like in
you're
fight or
like,
flight. You're like,
yeah.
oh my God, let's run away from this, or fight this, or whatever it is that thing is. So in order to come back into yourself, all of that has to do with your breath and your presence. So awareness of when your body is actually going into this state of fight or flight. So how are you reacting to things right now, and really paying attention to the tension in your body? How are you holding yourself up? Are you constantly like this, or stressed out, or in fear? So the first thing to do in moments like that is to actually take a pause and stand up straight. The spine is so important in this, because however you are moving, it's actually going to affect the way your energy is moving inside your body. So there is this,
And then it's important to note that you've heard these things before, but the way you're feeling this right now is absolutely unprecedented. This has never happened in this way in history, in such a global scale, because there's so much media promoting this stuff, and there's so much fear. And all of our work, all of our money, all of our human connection has all been completely taken, well, not completely, but basically, 95% taken away from us. And so whereas we've dealt with things like this before, this is so different, and nobody has a blue book for this. And that's why this is hitting everyone so hard. And that's why it was important for us to figure it out for ourselves first, and then to be able to present this to us, because this is causing levels of stress that we haven't seen before. And the other component to it is is that it's drawing everyone to these digital devices. And so whereas you used to spend, an hour on your phone maybe, now you're spending 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours in front of your computer on your phone. And what that's doing to your body and your neck and your back and your shoulders and your breathing and your eyes and looking at these screens all the time, you have to become really aware of what that's doing to your body. And so this is, and when you're in survival mode, you're thinking like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to eat? How am I going to do all this stuff? And so it's extra, extra hard to pull back and let it be what it is. And that's actually the most important part right now. And
Yeah.
because everybody is in fear, anxiety, and stress across the board, all of us.
And you have this amazing body that can actually guide you through that. So if you know anything about the chakras, there's this 7 energy points within your body, and they line up along your spine. The first one is your root chakra and is connected to your survival. So it's affected by how safe you feel, how good you feel in your body, and everything that's happening around you right now. The second one is affecting your relationships and your sexuality and your creativity, and that's in your sacrum. And then the next one is right in your solar plexus, and that affects your self-worth. The next one is in your heart, which affects your love and affection and connection and all of that stuff. The next one is in your throat, and the throat has to do with communication. Then your third eye, which is your intuition. And then the last one sits right above your head. Just if you picture like a 1,000-leaf lotus flower, it sits right above your head, and that's your connection to the divine. So all of these points in your body, whether you've studied yoga, and they teach you how to move this type of energy, or tantra, it's really important because they will show you if you have a pain somewhere in your body, if your energy is stuck anywhere in your body, depending on where that pain is, it will tell you what it's related to. And how you can discover what's happening is actually through your breath. So we're gonna we're gonna do a really quick exercise that we do in our private sessions to tune you into what's going on within your body right now and what is happening within yourself. Jonathan.
So I'm going to take you into breathing, and I'd like all of you to, if you're in a chair, if you're on the couch, if you're at your desk or whatever, just try to find a way to be erect and upright. Because what's really important here is that we have alignment, and you think about like the ascended master always has his staff, and it sticks straight all the way to the top, which is connecting our body, right? And so we want to find alignment. And we're going to do with you the breathing that we actually do in our bridging sessions. And I'll give you a little bit of the science behind it. Is we're going to breathe into 2 different parts of our body. First, we're going to breathe into our bellies. We're going to isolate that so we understand what it feels like to breathe in there. Then we're going to breathe into our chest. We're going to isolate that, and then we're going to link those 2 together. And it sounds so elementary, but I guarantee you it's going to kick your butt right now because we're not used to isolating and then linking those together. Especially even in like ecstatic breath work and stuff, a lot of times they focus in the belly or they'll focus in the chest or whatever, but very rarely are we actually linking these together. And one more quick scientific thing, when you breathe into your belly, it actually pulls down and out and makes room for the lungs to expand even more. And so that's why it's important to start there, because you're actually pulling open that cavity. And then when you go into your chest, you're expanding it. And so, sometimes, especially for shallow breathers, you could get 400, 500, 600% more oxygen into your body, which just lights your body up. It oxygenates your blood, and it makes this machine work in the way it's supposed to.
And when you're talking about stress, what that's doing is like when you're calming your body down through this breath, you're sending a signal to your brain telling it that it's okay, that you're safe. So all of that anxiety just starts to dissipate because your heart rate will start to calm down. So you're healing your body on a cellular level just with your breath and just by paying attention. You'll also notice that your thoughts will just start to quiet down the more you pay attention to your breath.
And so I'm going to adjust a little bit just so you guys can see me a little bit better. But what we're going to do first is we're going to really focus in the belly. And if you watch my shoulders and my chest, you'll see that I can breathe down here with no movement up here. Like my shoulders don't go up, my chest doesn't go out. I'm just making like a little fat Buddha belly. I know the word fat is probably
Yeah, so
inappropriate, but
we're
just
gonna
like,
do
just the,
basically what you've been taught not to do. We're
yeah.
always told suck in your belly, tighten everything. Like basically brace yourself for a punch. Like
Yeah.
that's like the first thing you teach boxers when they're about to take a punch is like tighten everything so you don't feel it as much. But what that's doing, you're actually blocking out. When you block out pain, you block out pleasure, and you block out your sensitivity. So you block out your ability to experience life. So with this breath, what we're going to do is actually relax your diaphragm, relax your belly, relax all of those muscles to allow yourself to bring back that sensation into your body and that pleasure back into your body.
All right, so you want your belly to be smushy. So you're not flexing it, you're not any as smushy as you can get it. And then you're just going to breathe in to the belly and then let it go.
Put your
you can
hands
breathe through
on
your
your belly.
nose, through your mouth. It doesn't really matter.
Put your hands here and kind of press down with your fingers and see if you're flexing that muscle, because you might not be aware when you're flexing it. So you should be able to press in and have it not have resistance. So as you breathe in, just push into those muscles right there.
And so let go of all your breath and breathe slowly in for a count of 2 or 3. And really let your belly get big and try to massage your spine with your belly. If you could just think about that, you guys can let your breath go. If you just think about your stomach pushing into your spine, that's how much you want to expand. You really want to massage your inside. So really open that belly up. Let it go. Okay, so that's the belly, right? Now let's move into the chest. And so now we're not going to breathe into the belly at all. We're going to let it be so still. And chest breathing, you're going to notice again, it's not this, it's not up into your shoulders, but it's like Superman. So it's chest out. You know, you feel your chest going outwards, then letting that go. And this is about expanding that chest cavity, the lungs, all of that stuff, expansion outwards. So pull that in. And make sure to watch your shoulders, really feel what your shoulders are doing, because when you breathe up into your shoulders, that induces anxiety and stress, right?
Think about a scary movie.
Yeah, the way they breathe in the scary movie.
All of that like fast breathing is actually shooting adrenaline through your body and cortisol, which is giving you the energy to run away, to escape a dangerous situation. So and we're very used to shallow breathing in our everyday life. So we want to expand our chest and expand that breathing and expand our hearts to calm everything down.
So let's just do that a little bit more, just at your own pace, 2 or 3 seconds in. And really go to your limit and then let it go. So now that's what the chest feels like, right? So now we're going to go back into our belly, and this is going to be a little tricky for some of you. You're actually going to fill up your belly till you can't anymore. Then you're going to move it into your chest. And so it's really weird because you feel like you're at the end of your breath, but you have a lot more. And you can watch my body. So I'm going to go into my belly. Now I'm going to go into my chest. Belly, chest. And I can feel in those 2 breaths I just did, I can feel the warmth in my chest. I can feel my body's like, yes, whatever you're doing, keep doing that. Yeah. So I want you guys to practice that feeling. And it's a little clunky at first, and that's okay. Belly, chest. And watch your neck when you're doing this too. You don't want too much like, tensing these muscles here. Just let the air do the work. Belly, just let it go. And so you guys can just take a couple more moments and see how smooth you can make that. See if you can just fill the belly up, fill up into your chest, and then let that energy go. And some of you, while you're doing this, you might feel sensations in your fingertips. You might feel a little cold in your face. All of that is completely normal, because what's happening is you're sending 4 to 5 times the amount of oxygen through your body, and you're actually waking up parts of your body that don't normally get that oxygenated blood. And so you're literally, think of it like you're plugging in electricity to your senses. Now, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can feel my hands. They feel kind of cold, or I feel like these tingles in my arm. I can feel tingles in my face. And then as you breathe, we're calming ourselves down. We're listening to our bodies, and your body will tell you what's going on with it. You might feel a little bit of pain or discomfort in your lower back. You might feel a little ball of tension in your power center or in your belly.
Yeah, so
And
these are just energy blocks that basically, when you're feeling something in your body, it's something that has been stored. Think of it like a memory, or just anything that your body's holding on to will be triggered by any sort of breath work that you do. So it's really important, when you do feel a block or you do feel something stuck, you take a bigger breath into it and you allow it to move. You can bring sound into it. So the three things that you can do when you're moving energy is breath, sound, and movement.
mm-hmm.
So as you're finding these things within your body, give it a sound. So that sound is like that vibration is going to break up this sensation in your body and allow yourself to express it. You can do this also when you're in a conversation and you feel your body tensing up.
Especially when you're arguing with your significant other
Yeah.
or your parents or whoever's around.
So this is an emotional block. So the way to address it is actually to give it a voice. And if you're doing breath work and you feel like something's stuck, you can bring movement into it. So breath, sound, and movement. So breathing and releasing. Breathing and releasing. And all of this is, sorry, this is
okay.
like the most important thing that you can learn at the beginning of Tantra is really this awareness to your breath and to your body, because as you start to wake up this sensation, then you start to learn to control it and move it through that chakra system that I talked about. And moving that energy up and out of your body, you start to transmute all of those negative or heavier emotions that are stuck in the lower centers of your body, and move them up and out of your body and make them into this lightness and aware and openness, and bring in whatever you want into your body.
And so the goal of this, and this doesn't matter if you're by yourself, if you're isolated by yourself, or you're with a couple, you can do the same things. If something's coming up and you're by yourself, put your hands in your belly, put your hands on your heart, put your hands in the places that you feel it, and then breathe into those places. And you'll be amazed at what your body has been trying to tell you. And then if you're with a partner, it's really amazing. Like if she's breathing, I can put my hand on her chest if she's feeling it in her chest. And that gives her something to tune into, something to focus into. And I can help her to move that energy. And we could do that for each other. And what you're really after here, the goal of this is that you want life to move into you and then leave you. So if you have a joyful experience, you soak in that experience and then you express yourself with dancing or with laughter or with love or whatever it is. If you have a sad experience, you let that in, you feel that, and then you let that go with crying or with grief or with
Words.
whatever you need to healthily cope with. But the idea is that there's always this constant flow, and so you don't want to get caught taking everything in and leaving it in here, because that's when stuff starts to go wrong.
That's what we're taught to do, is basically, okay, you're
shove it all
feeling,
down.
yeah, you just feel this heavier emotion. Oh, you're not allowed to be angry. It's not appropriate to be angry at work. So what we do is we pack all of this stuff into our bodies, and then our bodies are cramped up and we get pain, and we start to manifest it in so many different ways. But when you actively practice listening to your body, then you know when to speak up, you know how to release it, and you know how to move it out of your system. And breath work is the first and best way to do it.
All right. And so um, we invite you to break up with yourself, because this is
Your
what
old
happened to
self.
your old self,
Break up with
right?
your old self.
Because at the end of the day, and this happened to us, like we all of this came to a point and we were like, fuck it, we're done. We don't want to be this couple anymore. We don't want to be this person anymore. Life is never going to be the same. This is such a pivotal moment for the entire world, such a pivotal moment for all of us. So let it go. Like, surrender who you've always been up until this point, and just let that go and only take what serves you, because there's so much possibility for growth and for evolution right now. And so think about, you know, who you were in your relationship with yourself, with your significant other, with your family, who you were in your business, who you were in your community, your status. All of those things are no longer those things. And that's okay, because that's actually a lot of what we've been asking for, moving into a more balanced feminine energy in our world. So
now that it's here, we have to embrace it.
yeah.
We have to allow ourselves to move through this paradigm shift and really accept what's happening in our lives and create this new version of ourselves. How are we going to show up in our relationships? How are we going to show up in our work, in our passions, in our sex life? Because sex is actually something that will show you where you need to heal, because how you show up in your sex is how you show up to the rest of your life. How are you showing up in those kind of moments? Are you being completely open and vulnerable, or are you hiding away? Are you in fear? And where's that fear coming from? So really pay attention to all the things that come up, and express that to yourself first, and then to your partner if you have a partner.
And the feminine energy is about receiving. And so right now we're receiving so many messages. Life is telling us things, society is telling us things, our bodies are telling us things. And so that's why we wanted to take you a little bit through the chakras and through the breathing and understanding a little bit of what's happening in your body. Because when you can pull yourself out of all those things that you're doing, that are happening to you, all of those very action oriented things, when you can pull back out of that and surrender to the feminine energy, that energy of reception, that energy of saying, okay, I'm listening, I'm open, I'm ready for the messages, then we can receive the purity and the clarity of those messages and use our masculine energy to execute them. So this is a time of listening. This is a time of surrender. This is a time of just letting go and saying, okay, like, life is happening. And it kind of reminds me of aging, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to get older. I don't want my body to change. But there's nothing you can do about it. It's happening. And so to embrace that and to make the best of it and to be creative with your body and your looks and how you present yourself and how you feel in your own experience, you can be happy all along the way with every iteration of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, you're tuning in, you're listening, you're getting into your body, you're becoming more sensual, and you're receiving those messages. Who am I going to be next? Not what am I going to do? What are the 10,000 things to do on my to-do list? Because our to-do list got ridiculous. It
We
feels
try
like,
to do everything,
oh
and
my
we're
God,
like,
all at
we only
once.
have this certain amount of time to finish everything we've ever planned. So give yourself permission to take a break, first of all. Like, it's, I mean, don't go crazy. That's way off on a tangent. We're not going to go down
but
that
it's
road.
relevant because we're all suffering from that. It's like, oh my God, now I have to do a million things, and that's such a masculine energy, and we're all so programmed to the masculine, and we've all been asking for more feminine. But now that it's here, everyone's like, I don't know what to do with it. Not everyone, obviously, but this is an opportunity to embrace the feminine energy and to really learn from Mother Earth, to learn from the universe, to learn from other people that are showing up on Zoom. I mean, what an opportunity this is to connect with people around the world and to share our knowledge and our messages that we've been receiving.
Yeah. So we actually went on a walk the other day, And as we were coming back down this hill, this little mole, like if you've ever seen a mole, they're like these tiny little cute little animals.
So cute.
It fell down from this yard. So it was a very elevated yard, and it fell down right by my foot. So I'm like, oh my God. And then as soon as it fell and it hit the ground, it kind of scurried its body against the side of the street so it could feel its way around. So we picked it up and put it back in the yard so it can burrow that down. And as I went home and I looked up its message, because every animal has a message for you, it actually symbolizes faith, because the mole
It
doesn't,
can't see anything.
it actually developed a sense away from seeing. So it's one of the few mammals that took the sight away from their life. So it moves instinctively, and it trusts that wherever it's going to go, it's going to find nourishment and support and safety, or whatever it needs. And I feel like that's such an important message for us all to hear right now, because it's showing us that we're going to be okay, and life is going to provide for us. We just have to surrender to what's happening
It's
right
time
now.
to tap into some different senses. So our usual patterns, our usual things that we're seeing out in the world, none of those exist right now. So you could even close your eyes and just feel with your fingers, hear with your ears, feel the vibrations of the earth. And we can start to tune, like we can start to heighten the sensitivity of our other senses that we might have been neglecting. And and start trusting in life, because in reality, we've all made it this far. We're all still alive. We've always been taken care of. There's always another option. There's always an opportunity to change, to grow. And that's always life. And so many people have fear around, well, what if this happens and what if this happens? But those things most of the time don't even happen, and sometimes are only just like this little tiny speck on your lifespan. And so the real question is, how do we have faith through these moments of unknowing, through these moments where we can't see what it's going to look like? And the answer is, like, that little mole was so cute, but he he's blind, but he still found his way. He used his body, he used his smell, he used his
No
all of his
fear.
senses. No fear. Just he was just like, okay, I fell, I got to get back to safety. And so this is a time for us to get back to safety, and we have to go inside and use those senses and those instincts inside. And we have another quick little story. When we were talking about what to do for this, we came up with the imagery of a carousel. And you remember, as kids, like, they're so fun, like you give it a big spin, and
I
like
don't even know if that's called a carousel, but whatever that round thing is that
merry-go,
the merry-go,
yeah.
yeah, the thing that you spin around. I'm
Yeah, so
not.
it's a big wheel, and like kids hold on to it and you spin it and you go really fast. And you think about, like, there's different archetypes of the kids that are on this thing, right? There's that kid that is white knuckling it and is freaked out and scared and like, oh my God, I'm gonna die because this thing is crazy. Then there's the kid that's like kind of like woozy a little bit and is like feeling a little sick and can't wait for it to get off. And then there's the kid that's like hanging off the edge of it with his feet flying around the air and just having a blast, right? And so there's such a beautiful message in this. It's like the same thing is happening to all those children, but they're having such a different experience. And that's like what's happening right now. And so the question is, how can you embrace it, and who do you want to be while this is going on? And for us, we want to be the kid hanging off the side with his feet flying around the air and having a blast, because why not? You know, what do you have to lose? And we don't want to be traumatized by this. We want to flip it around and use this energy for our own betterment. And then when the carousel stops, you get off, you move on to the next thing, and it's fine, it's fun. But there will be people that chose to white knuckle it. There will be people that got woozy, and they might let that energy saturate their lives for months, years to come. And so please don't let that be you. Please be the person that takes this time to really embrace this and learn from this and evolve from this. And this is why we wanted to take you through this healing journey, because it really does start with tuning in, breathing, moving that energy, and then allowing life to flow through you.
Yeah. So how we responded to this coronavirus mayhem, we slowed down. We brought attention, we brought our awareness to ourselves, to our relationship, and to our business, but like all in very like just awareness first, not even taking action, but just the awareness of what was happening, how we were being affected. And
especially for those of you in relationships that are holed up together, this is so important. Pay attention to yourself first, first and foremost. If you are not okay, your relationship will not be okay. And it's so easy to get into a he said, she said, or to be like, oh, if you only did this, then I could do this. But really try to just don't worry about your partner for a minute and just tune into, okay, what's going on with me? What do I need? And the more you can do that, the more that's going to smooth over any interaction you have with your partner, because your relationship with yourself is always primary.
And then you calm down that anxiety with the breath that we taught you, and just like relax into your body and let your body tell you what it needs, and allow your emotions to flow through you. And then the fun part is that you get to engage your senses. So what we've been doing to kind of like relax our bodies and tune into ourselves is like we started playing with our senses. So there's 5 senses, and we started doing this just without even thinking about it, because this is a tantric exercise of connection. So we were in the bathtub, we took a bath together, and then we started to massage our bodies. We started to really allow our bodies to tell us where to go next. Instead of just like massaging how you think you should be massaging, it's like really allow your partner's body to tell you how to move. Like move slow and deliberate when you're touching them. Use this conscious touch. Imagine you have eyes in your palms. So when you're touching, you're trying to discover every single hair that they have in their body, the lines in their body, and then slowly move your fingers along the muscles. Like, so if I'm massaging his arm, it's like put oil on it so you're not rubbing up against their skin, but like rub up against like the side of the muscle, and then see what they like, the kind of pressure that they like, if they like it softer or harder, and allow their skin and their bodies to tell you where to go next. So that's really engaging your sense of touch, and this will bring you guys closer together. And as you're doing that, you can focus your breath on it, and as you inhale, you receive their love, you receive the messages of their body, and as you exhale, you send out your love and all your affection or whatever you're feeling, and practice this giving and receiving through giving them pleasure. So that's your sense of touch. And then we started playing with our food. So we actually started eating with our hands, and we engaged our sense of touch again. And then we would smell, like we had pineapple, and we engaged our sense of smell. So he would close his eyes, and I would put the fruit to his nose and have him smell it.
We were eating salad with quinoa, and it was such an interesting experience, because you think about like how kids will like, you know, they'll put food on their fingers and roll it around and play with it. But when you do that, when you slow down enough to do that, you'll realize that your hands start to soak in the energy of the food. They start to feel activated. You can actually taste it more because of the way it feels and the way it smells.
And as you slow down, the flavor gets better. So you'll actually taste the texture of the fruit and the smell of the fruit and the taste of the fruit. And you actually don't need as much food as you normally eat, because you're slowing down enough to have your body tell you when it's done. So it's really important to start, and then you play music and you burn incense, so you put candles on and engage those other senses as well at the same time. But if you make a ritual of this, and you like, even if you plan, okay, let's do a massage and then let's eat some fruit, but really make it a ritual of loving each other in that way, of slowing down and paying attention and seeing what each other needs, this will bring you guys closer. I'm sorry we haven't really
I've been kind of paying attention.
Our screen went out, so if you've been commenting on the side, we will get to you, because we can't really see the messages right now, because we have an actual camera recording this.
And so we want to give you some really like practical rules for navigating these times. So we broke it down into what we thought, like 5 little things for those of you that like to take notes, and I know you're out there because she's one of
I'm one
them.
of those people. I need
Um,
lists.
so rules for navigating these times. Number one, first and foremost, slow down and listen. Slow down and listen.
Mhm.
Nobody can tell you what's right for you but you.
Mhm.
That's what we always tell people. We do not have your answers. You have your answers, but we will show you how to activate your own body, how to activate your own um, tools in your own body to hear your answers. And so slow down and listen. You will find what you're looking for if you do that. Number two,
Make the best of what you got. No,
because that's
yeah.
all you have. You can't, if you can't go to the
Don't force
grocery, if you
it.
can't, do all this stuff, then okay, fine. But what can I do? Don't focus on the things you can't change, but focus on the things you can.
Number three, growth is uncomfortable. So embrace it. In order for you to grow, it's gonna be weird. So just go with it and just breathe into it and just allow it to be whatever it is.
And this is going to sound so strange, but I can tell you from experience that when you learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings, you will enjoy the process. I think Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot. She says, it's the 3-step process, and the 4th step is that you begin to start loving the first step, which is that you're not where you want to be, or you don't have this thing, or you have this desire, or whatever. And
So
so,
that's like when in couples, like you learn to love your fights because your fights will tell you where there's room to grow. So
Mhm.
if you're fighting about a certain thing and you always end up fighting about this one thing,
The
the
dishes.
dishes is something that comes up for so many people that we see, but it's not really about the dishes. What is behind this doing the dishes? Oh, I don't feel respected. I don't feel seen by my partner. I don't feel valued. And that comes from like somewhere deep, like back in your past. So you need to really understand the hurt of that moment and express it to your partner so you feel respected and seen and loved and appreciated by them, because that's what you ultimately want. You ultimately want to provide this for each other.
I like this comment from Anthony. He says, "Pain is pleasure, and pleasure is pain, one and the same."
Yep.
It's really interesting because it is a sliding scale, right? And in some instances, what might hurt you, or you think is hurting you, or you perceive as pain, can actually turn out to be some of the greatest pleasure, and vice versa. And so this is why it's so important to stay present in the moment, to actually take inventory of what's going on and what it means to you, because a lot of times we slap labels on things, but we actually don't even experience that thing enough to know what it really is. Like, oh, coronavirus, it's such a bad thing, it's so hard, it's so, why does it have to be that? What else could we make it? What could we do with it? What could
And
our
there's so much
perception of it
good.
be?
Yeah, there's so much good coming out of right now. So focus on those things that are coming and embrace that
All
part
right,
of it.
let's get back to the
Yeah.
list. Number 4, this is this beautiful concept that I really got turned on to it by this writer, Benjamin Hardy. And he says, focus on the gain and not the gap. And so imagine this is where you are in life right now. And the gap is, this is where I want to be. So I'm here, but I really want to be this person. I really want my business to be doing this. I want all this stuff. If you do that, you're constantly focused on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And guess what happens? As soon as you get to who you want to be, what happens is it changes again, because now you want to be this other thing, right? And so if you do that, you're constantly living in the gap. Instead of saying, okay, I'm here, but I came from here. Let me get my hand on the screen. But I came from here. Look how far I've come. Look how much progress I've made.
So you celebrate all
You
of your
celebrate your
victories.
victories. You
And
celebrate the process.
this doesn't mean you don't have goals. Of course you have goals, but you don't focus on all of the things that you need to do, because you're never going to have freedom, and you're never going to have that feeling of like, oh my God, I've achieved so much. So it's about focusing on your victories and celebrating those little things.
And
then,
so you want to do number 5?
yeah, the last
Do
one
it.
is fight for what you love. So if you're stuck in if you're in a relationship and you're in a fight, but you love this person, don't let those little fights just tear your relationship apart. really focus on like, okay, I love this person. Why do I love this person? I want to make this work. So how can we fix this? Because you're really reflecting all the things in me that I need to heal, and I'm really reflecting in you all the things that you need to heal. So when you see the relationship from that point and you fight for each other, then I mean, you're never going to get bored. Let's face it.
That's true.
Because you're always going to be growing.
Constant growth. You just want someone to grow with you. And I want to add another perspective to that. Another layer of that is also like, you know, what you're doing in your business life, in the way you're relating to people, all those different kinds of things. If you haven't been doing something you love, if you've been like, I know Chelsea, you said something about you used to work for IBM or some kind of corporate job or whatever, and maybe that was, hold on,
Yeah.
be careful.
Sorry.
And so maybe, you know, you've been stuck at something that is sucking your soul, or that you don't really believe in, or that you didn't love anyways. This is such a good opportunity because you don't have a choice to keep doing that thing. You're at home. You have all of this time and this opportunity to grow something you love. So plant something new in your garden. If you want to write that book, write that book. If you want to start that business, start that business. But if you'll follow this little journey that we've taken you on, if you'll tune into yourself and you'll get those messages, then you can act on them, and then you'll actually know what you love, and then you can fight for what you love.
Yeah.
So we'll recap them. Number 1, slow down and listen. Number 2,
Make the best of what you got.
Number 3, growth is uncomfortable.
Number 4, live in the gain, not the gap.
And number 5, fight for what you love. This is a
Yeah.
great time to really go for it. And before we do Q&A, we want to remind all of you guys how incredibly amazing you are. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be this certain person. Just by being alive, just by being the same as we all are, you are this marvelous, miraculous creation, and it's time to really understand that and accept that as your personal reality.
You love who you are on the inside. You are unique and you came here for a specific purpose. So stop hiding away from that. Show that to your partner. Show that in your jobs. Show that to your friends. And don't be afraid of that. What you're going to do when you show up fully in any sort of relationship is actually you're going to attract your tribe. You're going to call in the people who are going to love and respect you for who you are. And the people who don't respect you for who you are the people you need to say bye to. Because you don't want to be in that energy. You want to be fulfilled by all of your relationships. And the way to do that is by showing up.
Mm-hmm. So thank you guys all just for being who you are, and for being the kind of person that is taking responsibility enough to join something like this and to learn for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's already putting you a step ahead, and it's really showing your engagement and your interest in evolving. And so thank you guys so much for being who you are. Someone asked what number 4 was. It's living in the gain, GAIN, not the gap. And so you're living in the gain, taking account of how far you've come, and not in the gap of, oh, I'm here, but I really want to be this.
Yeah.
And so now I think we're ready for a Q&A,
yeah,
Chelsea.
We have 10 minutes. Yay!
I know that was a lot of information. So if you have any questions or anything, you guys can contact us. Our website is thelovegurusla.com. You can contact us. We will respond to you personally. So if you missed anything, just let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'll also put your little, let's see, the healing sessions.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, our bridging sessions, we actually help you understand the root of where a lot of your pain comes from. And we help you through this process to move and understand your body so you can be more embodied when you're having these personal conversations and your personal relationships, because they will trigger all of those wounds inside of you. So when you become aware of your wounds and you embrace them, then you outgrow this hiding away from yourself.
Yeah, you outgrow your old self. And they're really intense. They're usually 3 hours long, sometimes longer. But you should click on the link and read about them. I think we do a pretty good job of laying out what that looks like. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I know some of you guys probably have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So We can open up the floor for you guys to unmute yourselves and ask questions, or you can also write them in the chat and I can ask them for you.
I have a question.
All right.
What does the word tantra translate to? Like, what's the literal definition of it?
Oh yeah, I think Chelsea answered that earlier, but it means to weave.
Yeah.
And so like you're weaving energy, the energies together, or you're connecting to something, or you're becoming one with something. And so it's all about unity and consciousness and connection. And it actually, the word religion, the word what is it, yoga as well, they
It means
all
union.
point to the same thing. It's all about union.
Yeah. In fact, that the we're all one, all of that stuff comes from Tantra, because it's about the weaving of all of our energies together.
And I'll say one more thing about Tantra specifically. It is a methodology. And so Tantra includes asanas, it includes mudras, it includes, it's basically like all of the techniques that you might need to achieve that union.
Yoga is part of Tantra.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all about, it's all of these different, it's like
tools
the Taoists are the same. So if you see the Taoist teachings, they're teaching you a way of life. They actually, when it comes to the sexual part of it, they call it sexual kung fu. So if you think about kung fu, it's like wax on, wax off, and then you're doing that for years and years and years before you actually go and do something, because you are learning the foundation. You got to sweep that floor and understand the movement before you really get into the crazy fun stuff, because if you don't understand the basics of it, then you can't enjoy the fullness of the teachings.
Question.
Yeah,
so Jacqueline is asking about our breath work. How many would we recommend doing in a day? So I'm going to give you a two-part answer to that. The first time you do it, lay down somewhere and really do it until you feel like you have a full grasp on what it feels like in your belly, what it feels like in your chest, and then to move those two things together. And you will likely start to feel tingly. You'll start to feel maybe cold, and you'll start to feel emotions and feelings come up. You might not, but a lot of times people start to feel really a lot in their bodies. And so the first time, just, I don't know, maybe give yourself 10 or 20 minutes to really fully get into it. And, you know, beyond that, it's kind of a sliding scale answer, because for us, we've been doing this so consistently, and we do it with people in our sessions and we do it in our practice, that you can activate it very quickly. And so it doesn't feel like we necessarily need to do it.
And it starts to integrate in the way that you are normally breathe.
Yeah.
So you're not having to go into a full breathing meditation to do it. You can actually tap into your regular day life and just apply that breath into your belly, then into your chest. And also, so when you're doing this stuff, you might actually activate something called tetany. So your hands might cramp up. And this is totally normal. Like, nothing is going to happen to you. Any kind of breath work will actually do that. But this is from your body holding on to tension. So if you're used to like holding on to things, your hands might cramp. So just breathe through it and you're going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. So maybe 20 minutes the first time, and then 5 minutes when you think about it, you know, like, oh, maybe I should try that breathing. Take 5 minutes to do it. Cool.
Good way to wake up in the morning. Just like for 5 minutes, breathe into your belly, then into your chest, and wake up with awareness.
Does anybody else have a question? Any couples questions?
You know, you guys mentioned one ritual that you do, just like really feeling into where your hands want to move in a bathtub. Do you have any other amazing rituals that just cultivate intimacy?
Yes.
Oh, what are you going to say?
The tantric massage?
Yeah. So hands down, I think someone was asking a question, and we'll get back to you. It was a man's voice somewhere. But tantric massage is the best. And so to get
everyone loves massages.
Everyone loves a massage. So if you just imagine, like, who doesn't want a massage right now? Everybody, right? And so what you integrate what we were talking about, that slowness and that movement. And if you think about, like, as I'm pushing into her muscles and I'm following the muscle lines all the way up her body, it's quite the journey, right? Because I could go from her fingertips all the way up through into her shoulders, all the way into her neck, So, and especially like if she's lying down on the bed with no clothes on, you can follow the spine all the way from the tailbone up into the back of the head, up into the like cranial sacral kind of stuff. And so when you're doing these long flowing motions and you're really digging into the muscles and you're getting down into the fascia sometimes, it can be such a liberating and incredible experience. And for the person getting the massage, they're learning about being in their feminine. It's
How to
about
receive.
receiving. You don't have to do anything. Your job is just to sit there and be pleased. And so sometimes that might lead into sex. Sometimes that might just be like we fall asleep afterwards. It really like.
It's also, that's when you activate your breath, sound, and movement. So as they're massaging your body, you breathe in that sensation, and if something feels good, then they give that a sound. If something hurts, give that a sound. So it's like allowing yourself to move through these emotions as well. So,
That's a really good point too, because sometimes, let's say I'm moving up her spine and I feel, you know, kind of some tension. I'll actually ask her, okay, breathe into my hands right now. And when she does that, her body's going up and I'm pushing down at the same time. And so then maybe her back might pop, or a muscle might kind of, you know, move in a certain way. And it becomes this very interactive experience. And so it's always breath, sound, and movement, right? And so you think about sex like, you know, it's this very like, it's this whole body experience. And so a massage can be like that too. You know, I'm digging in, she's or like letting something go. It doesn't necessarily have to be having sex to be sensual or sexual.
I have one more thing that's actually amazing for couples and singles, and this is a connection exercise. So if you put here, face me. If you're single, you're going to do this to yourself, but if you have a partner,
show the single first.
So for the singles, you're going to put your right hand on your heart and your left hand on top, and you're going to breathe into your hand. And as you breathe in, you're going to feel love filling your heart from the universe. You can even imagine a person sitting in front of you and sending their love to you. And as you exhale, you're going to send that love right back. If you're a couple, you can do the same thing. You put your right hand on their heart and they put their right hand on you, and you're going to breathe together. You can look into each other's eyes as you do this as well. So you're establishing heart connection, breath connection, and eye contact. And so this will tune you in and deepen your connection to each other. And so as you breathe in, you inhale their love. And as you exhale, you send them your love.
And it's actually important. The same thing here. You notice both of our backs are really straight. And so you want to be erect. You want to be showing up for your partner. You don't want to be like slouched in a chair or any of that stuff. It's
and
really
as you're
about
doing
engagement.
that, you can move. You can add movement to it.
You can kind of cat-cow with it.
And this will get you more into the more sexual aspect of it if you're moving your body and breathing together like that, because you want to sync your breaths together.
Okay, let's answer this question.
Sorry.
I love this question.
Yeah.
This is from Morris. He says, anything specific for same-sex couples to keep in mind for balance of energy? So we talk a lot in the hetero perspective because we're a hetero couple, but in a same-sex relationship, it's the exact same. So you can switch roles, or you can, you know, primarily be a role. So in this, what's interesting in our relationship, I'm actually a lot of the times more tuned into the feminine and she's more tuned into the masculine. And that doesn't mean that we can't switch that. So in the same sex relationship, a lot of times, you know, one of you will have a tendency towards one of those energies. And so maybe you're the more feminine and he's the more masculine, whatever that looks like. That doesn't mean that that's concrete. You can play with those. And it's actually very fun to play with those in your sexuality and in your relationship.
The polarity of that. And it's just like you tuning into the giving and then the receiving. Yeah. So anytime you're like, for example, the massage giving, the person that's giving is more in the masculine role and the person that's receiving is in the feminine role. And when you're doing this breath work that we just taught you, the heart to heart one, we call it open heart meditation, because it's like open heart surgery for your relationship and your for connection. So when you're doing that, you're actually practicing both roles, the giving and the receiving.
Yeah.
So it's more about tuning into what's happening to the moment
Yeah.
and being in either the more active role or the more of the receiving role.
Yeah.
And that's how you can play with the polarity
And
of it.
so, you know, for hetero couples, for same-sex couples, whatever, what you're really going for is someone fully being in the masculine and someone fully being in the feminine, because that creates that really balanced yin yang of energy. And so, you know, it doesn't matter, pansexual, transsexual, like whatever you identify as, it doesn't matter, because we all have the ability to be any of those energies.
We are out of time.
Okay, we're out of time. We could go on forever.
Yeah, if you guys have any
stuff.
questions that we didn't answer, just send us to our Instagram at the Love Gurus LA, and we'll answer whatever you guys got.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Will you guys
Thank you so much.
mute and just give a little love to this couple?
Thank you. So amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chelsea, thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.